Welcome to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy, powered by the Retirement Income Store and brought to you by Agemy Financial Strategies in Guilford, Connecticut and Denver, Colorado.
I want to tell you about Jim and Susie Kramer that came in for their review recently. And I said to them, Jim and Susie, before we get going here in your review today, I'm just wondering if you have anything that you want to make sure that we talk about. And they said, well, Andrew, we're really concerned. We're really concerned about the new administration that has come into the White House and so forth. And what does that mean to our portfolio? What's going to happen? We want to make sure that we're going to be okay because we don't want to lose principal. We don't want to lose purchasing power. We want to make sure that we're going to be okay as we move toward retirement. I'm Andrew Agemy.
And I'm Daniel Agemy, and you're listening to Financial Strategies. Today, our conversation is about the new invisible tax. Our goal here is to help retirees and investors understand the things that they don't already know or that is not taught in the financial world. That I think that is something I've heard a lot of investors talk about as well, is how is this new administration going to affect their finances? We live in unprecedented times with money printing and with market valuations and with, stocks, bankrupt companies issuing new debt or equity so that they can continue to stay in business. This is insane. This is a time that people need help, and they really need to know what questions to ask so they can make wise decisions.
Yeah, exactly. That's always important to, number one, make wise decisions. And you can't make wise decisions without getting the information that you need. And that's what financial strategies is all about, is helping people to know what they don't know and being able to help people at least be able to give them information so that they can ask the right questions. And, this is a perplexing thing with this new administration. We have, President Biden in now, and we kind of have an idea what he's going to be doing. And as well as Janet Yellen and what she's going to be doing, and with that, some can see this as a invisible tax. I always like to talk about the voluntary tax of the lottery and buying lottery tickets, but this is an invisible tax that actually it's not new at all, right? It's been around for quite some time, but it's based upon the idea that for 200 years of our history in this country, it took us. Took 200 years to make $1 trillion of debt in this country. And now in just a short period of time, we've gone from 1 trillion up to $27 trillion of debt. And it's just a terrible and egregious thing. And with that, that's where the invisible tax come from, right, Daniel? What's Biden and Yellen going to be doing?
Well, they have plans to get people back on their feet, right? We've gone through this whole Corona debacle, the pandemic, and now it's time to start rebuilding. And there's still some uncertainties with this second string that we're not really sure how that's going to affect, if the vaccines are going to work with that or not. But today, as we're recording this, it's looking good as far as the vaccines are working. People are starting to go back to school, to work, and things like this. But there's been a lot of damage done. There's these zombie companies out there that already before COVID started did not have enough cash flows to pay their debts. But what has happened with rates as low as they are, they're able to issue more and more debt to fund the business. So before the Fed got involved and we had free markets, that would be called creative destruction. And these companies would die because they were not profitable anymore. Mm-hmm. And new companies would come and start up in their place and give opportunity to entrepreneurs to start businesses and give good paying jobs to individuals and start companies that would give benefits to all, all the people, right?
Right.
And that's how market cycles typically work. We stopped the market cycle by allowing companies to issue debt when they can't afford it at very, very low rates. And then another phenomena that has happened is bankrupt companies have gotten bid up. So AMC, right? The movie theater center is a perfect example. They were about to declare bankruptcy, and Wall Street Bets did a short squeeze on them, blew their stock sky high, and then they issued new equity at this valuation, put money on their balance sheet, and now they're not going to go insolvent because they have all this cash on their balance sheet. That still does not make them a profitable company. It just makes them another zombie company in this whole world, right? We look at the S&P 500. How many of those are zombie companies? We know there's 7 of them that have really driven the performance of the company, but how many in there are zombie companies?
Right. That Mark, that whole cycle has been distorted and been thrown out of place. And, it's kind of like the cycle of life, right? Somebody's born, they grow up, and then they die, and then somebody else is born into the world and grow up and die, and it goes like that. And that's how the kind of like these company cycles are supposed to work as well. But they haven't been dying. So that creates a difficulty for this. I want to let you and our listening audience know that you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy, and today's topic is the new invisible tax, and we're glad to be able to have you with us again this week. We have a paper to go along with today. It's called Don't Let Long-Term Care Be Your Financial Blind Spot. And so if you call up at 800-725-7616, 800-725-7616, just ask for the long-term care article, and we'll be glad to get that out to you. Megan will be glad to get that out to you as quickly as she can. Well, we are so glad to have you with us today as we talk about this hidden tax. And Daniel, you're talking about these zombie companies. These companies that are not profitable companies, they're not good companies. They're issuing more stock when they're actually a bankrupt company, which is crazy. And so then they're able to get money coming in their coffers, in their treasury, that makes them no longer a bankrupt company because they have cash, but they're not profitable. So it's just a matter of time before they end up in the same place again. And, sounds very much like the United States, right? Where we have a deficit and we're able to print more money and keep things going. But, it's kind of like the inevitable that something will happen as time goes on. Like Greenspan, Alan Greenspan, former head there, said that deficit spending is simply a scheme for the confiscation of wealth. And that's what we have going on here, right? Is that the new invisible tax?
We've come a long way since that, because now the mantra is MMT. MMT is fine. You can print as much money as you want, and there's no negative effects, because if you're in control of your own currency, then print as much as you want. You have to pay taxes in it. You have armies to back it up. Then the money is still worth something. But that goes against common sense. And that goes against everything we know when we look at value, right? If you have a piece of art, you're an art collector, or you have wine, right? Rare wine. If you took that piece of art that there's only 5 of,
right,
and you photocopied that 1 million times. Now, those 5 originals they still would be worth something. But if we start passing out the million or 2 million or 3 million or however many photocopies we decide to make, what are those worth? A couple of cents? You have this piece of art that worth millions and millions and millions of dollars, but the photocopy is worth a nickel, whatever it costed to print it on the paper, right? And unfortunately, that's what's happening with currency, not just in the US, but this is across the board. The world is trying to devalue together. And we'd like to kind of sort of get into how this is going to affect people and how this is a tax, because it's stealing money out of your pocket if you're not prepared for or not protecting yourself from this.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's not a good thing. So we're glad that you've joined us today on financial strategies. Today's topic is a new invisible tax, and we have a piece for you. We're going to get back into this. We're going to have to take a break right now, but before we do, I want to offer you the piece that's on long-term care. Don't let the long-term care be your financial blind spot. And for the next 5 callers, we have the book called Tax Invisible. Tax Invisible. You know, it's not about what you make that counts. It's about as much as what you get to keep that counts. So this book, Tax Invisible, very easy to read, quick read book, will be able to help you get some concept of what we're talking about today in this. And to the next 5 callers at 800-725-7616, 800-725-7616. And you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew Daniel Agemy, because people don't know what people don't know. And we'll be right back after this.
History tells us the market goes up and the market goes down. What would you do if you lost half of your retirement savings? It's time to make the shift to steady, reliable retirement income. And where do you go? The Retirement Income Store. Log on to agemy.com for your free retirement review. That's AGEMY.com. The Retirement Income Store, where retirees go for income.